Hey mamas. Okay, so today we're talking about learning how to feel, which is one of my favorite topics. If you haven't liked or subscribed this channel, please do so you don't miss out on some more videos coming your way. Okay, to jump right in, so we're going to kind of dive into the different ways that we can feel. At the end, I'm going to give you a little example of how we process these emotions. But I want to first draw your attention to what we do when an emotion comes up. So we can either fight, flight, or feel. I know you've heard a lot about fighting or flighting, but the feeling part is the one I want to teach you, because let's be honest, we are not privy to this information, right? This isn't something that we're taught in schools. It's something that we start developing different techniques, different ways of processing emotions, different ways of coping. And a lot of times they're not healthy ways, right? We've learned to develop these tendencies, and then we plateau and we get to our adult years and we're kind of in trouble because we've gone years and years and years without learning how to feel. We've gone years without processing emotions, and then everything surfaces and we don't know what to do with it, and it eats us up and we lose our mind and we have a midlife crisis and we're crazy. We're hot messes. So I want to give you a little insight. So the first one is we can fight, right? We feel an emotion, it overcomes our body, and we have all of this energy and we want to react to it. We think this is useful by yelling, by pointing our fingers and blaming other people, by throwing things, by crying, right? So there's this energy that's in our body from this adrenaline, from feeling the anger or whatever it is, and we're reacting to it. But let's be honest, fighting does not solve any problems. It doesn't help us process. We think that it's useful because it feels good to react to it, but it doesn't actually do any good. The second thing we can do is we can flight, right? That's when we flee. We run away. We distance ourselves from the people that we think is causing us this pain or these emotions, these negative emotions. So we distance ourselves. We run to the cave, if you will, which means that we're just trying to feel safe. We're trying to feel good. So a lot of times my flighting is like this idea of me trying to avoid it. So that's when I find myself, I run away from whatever is bothering me, right? Let's say I get stressed out at work, or if my kids are frustrating me, or whatever the situation is, I find myself trying to feel good. I'm trying to get that dopamine hit. So I will find myself at that lower animal brain looking for chocolate or ice cream or candy or sugar, whatever it is. And then the other thing that we do is we'll get on social media, we'll shop online, or we'll go to the store and shop. We're avoiding, like, it's like the thing right here is what's bothering us, but we're just like, we're going the other way. We're just totally ignoring it, totally avoiding it, pushing it under the rug, trying to carry on. But then we find ourselves in all these bad places and picking up bad habits because we're trying to feel good. I always like to teach my clients this because sometimes I'm totally aware of it. Like, I totally understand that I'm avoiding something and I'm eating ice cream, but start to take that upper brain, right? Being like kind of looking down on yourself like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm not feeling good right now. I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm agitated, and so that's why I'm here. That's why I've gained weight. This is where I'm at. So we don't need to judge ourselves. We just need to take a little inventory, a little analysis of what we're creating with our brain. And then the last one is to feel, right? So we fight, flight, or feel. Those are our choices. Feeling is the one that we don't seem to know how to do. We think that we're feeling things by being sad or crying or whatever it is, but this is something that I want to jump into a little bit deeper. So feeling is when it looks different for everybody, but it's when we're allowing ourselves to sit with an emotion. It's like we open up the door and let it come in, right? Like if it's anxiety, if it's depression, if it's frustration or annoyance or embarrassment, anger, whatever it is, we want our body to process it so it's done. It doesn't have any hold over us. We learn to let it manifest in our body, right? Because our thoughts create our feelings, right? So what a feeling is a feeling is just a vibration in our body, but our brain, our lower brain hates to feel bad. And so that's why we're fighting and that's why we're fleeing, right? That's why we're not dealing with it, because we're trying to avoid that negative emotion. But by avoiding negative emotion, we're creating a lot more trouble in our lives. So when we learn how to process emotions, that is the key to substantial change in our lives. The more that we know how to deal with an emotion, it has no hold over us, right? We know we can create whatever emotion we want, right? Because our thoughts create our feelings. We're intentional about what we're creating, and we're also intentional about processing our emotions so we can let it go and be done with it. So one of my good friends, Ashley Jane Grow, she has a program called, what is it called? She's so cute. Mental Wellness Coaching for Moms and Kids. She's awesome. But anyways, she has a system for processing emotions that I've adapted and I really like. So shout out to my girlfriend, Ashley. So she has this process called the stop method, right? So when we're ready to process emotion, we want to stop. S stands for slow down or step away. T stands for take control. O stands for observe, and P stands for process. So I'm going to give you a little example so you can really see it in action. I've been in such a funk the last couple weeks, and I know that it's because I haven't processed this emotion. I'm just avoiding it, and I find myself overeating. I'm on Facebook all the time. I'm doing all these things that I don't want to deal with. And this is me being very vulnerable, so excuse me, but I had a little situation in a family where I felt very disconnected. I felt a little hurt. I felt a little sad, and I just haven't had a moment to actually process it. So I'm going to do it with you in front of you so you can kind of see what it looks like. So the first thing is when sometimes you'll hear something or someone will say something, or you'll be in a situation where you have all of these emotions, right? And it's like, what do we do with that? So that's why S is for stop and slow down or step away. So I might be in a situation where I'm with people, right? I can't always take that time to process emotion when someone's talking to me or kids are bothering me or whatever. So that's why we want to slow down. So sometimes it'll be like that night, right? It'll happen during the day, and we just like kind of like put it on the side of our mind and we'll deal with it later, if you will. I mean, let's be realistic. We can't always step away from a moment. So I like to retreat to a quiet place, normally my bedroom. I lock the door, I go into my closet, I lock the closet. Like I just like it really quiet so I can slow down, and we're kind of like, like kind of quieting our mind down a little bit so we can process what's going on. So that's the first step. And then we want to take control, right? Like we just feel crazy sometimes, and we want to take control over our mind and understand that we create our emotions, right? So let's see what's going on in there that we need to deal with. And then we start tuning into our body, right? So we take time, we take control, and then we start observing, right? So it's going to manifest in my body. Like right now, I can feel this really tightness in my chest with this sadness that I'm feeling, right? So it feels really heavy. Like it's hard to breathe. And so then I start to shut my eyes and I start to focus on that. And I feel this welling of tears behind my eyes. And I just kind of sit with it. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm trying to really tune in and start processing. Where is that manifesting in my body? And sometimes when my clients describe it, goes to their toes, it goes to their fingers. You kind of just want to tune in and say, where does that sadness, where do I feel that? And sometimes we want to get really descriptive about what it looks like. What does it feel like? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it sharp? Is it soft? Does it move? Is it stable? You kind of really want to go back and forth. And I'm going to come out of it for a second. It just takes a moment to get oriented, but I just want to give you an example of what it's like to actually process an emotion. There's so many studies that have been done. It takes 90 seconds to process an emotion, opposed to the years, the decades that we spend trying to avoid something, right? If someone goes through some really difficult times, the repercussions of that, of them not processing it, could carry on for years. If you think about it, right? A moment in time, we feel something. We can bring our brain back to that moment in time at any second. So think about how hard your brain has to work to not think about this again, opposed to taking the 90 seconds to go into that moment and process it at that very moment, right? Like, I'm 33 years old. I could go back to my childhood and sit with something that's really hurtful or really sad or really discouraging, right? Like, if we can take the time to process it, it starts letting go of us, right? The past has kept us stuck in this place for so long because we haven't processed things. We've just been avoiding it. And it takes so much energy. It's exhausting trying to not feel, opposed to taking the 90 seconds it takes to process it, letting it manifest in our body, right? And it's interesting, a lot of my clients, they've created techniques to avoid things, right? Like, they've learned how to not feel. And so we want to just take a deeper look and try to understand, how can we learn how to feel? What's one thing that we can do today to process a little bit more, right? Even if you just took one little bit of information, just to kind of open you up to this new idea, like, there's a different way to do this. We can learn how to process. We can learn how to let it manifest in our body. If we're anxious, like, bring it in. Let's learn how to be really good at feeling anxiety, right? This is life-changing. Being able to process your emotions, being intentional about the emotions you create, it changes everything in your lives, my friends. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. How you process emotions, I want to know, mamas. Hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. All right, bye-bye.